podcast over. Hi, welcome to the Music Lens podcast with me, Alex Allegra.
And Katie Fee.
We're going to start there, Alex,
yes.
editing.
Alex saved my life yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I didn't save your life. It was, you just got locked out of your car, and I just went to grab your extra key.
But you also saved my groceries, because I spent a lot of money on groceries, and I was fair. Like, I called my dad after I, knew you were on the way. I was like, hey, how long can groceries last in a trunk before they go bad?
Oh, you would have been
and they were fine, because it was only, an hour. But it was downpouring, because if you live in Nashville or have paid attention to just weather in the south of the United States lately, it's been lots of tornadoes and heavy rain. And yesterday, Friday, it didn't show anything on the hourly for the whole day of rain, and then I come outside from grocery shopping and it's downpouring. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna make it real quick, get everything in the trunk. I remember putting my keys down and saying I have to remember to take these out of here, and I remembered after I shut the trunk.
See, the nice thing about my Jeep is that if I ever lock it with my keys in the car, it automatically unlocks when I close all the doors. Okay. I've learned that, so I don't have to worry about that.
And it doesn't unlock the doors when I open the trunk or anything. I have to hit unlock for the doors separately, and so I knew that they were locked. I checked just to make sure. I'm like, I didn't unlock the car, right? And no, so they were stuck. And Alex was the closest option. Also, I feel like sometimes you work from home on Fridays. I don't know.
No,
maybe I remembered that wrong. But I was like, you're the closest option, so I called, and I don't know why I started crying, because I was fine until you answered the phone, and then all of a sudden I was like, Alex, I did something stupid. So, yeah, thank you for that. Now I owe you drinks tonight, because we're going out tonight.
Yes, I'm so excited. The Fairlane, me and Katie and our friend Sam always go out to the Fairlane bars whenever they do new pop-ups.
They do pop-ups.
So.
They haven't had, they did a Christmas one. Other than that, I feel like it's been a while since they've had a pop-up bar on the rooftop. I think they took a break from it or something, but now they're doing one of, the fairest of them all for Snow White.
Snow White, that's not good, but that's okay.
Don't care for the movie, not planning to see it, but still, pop-up bars are fun, so, because it's not affiliated with the actual thing at all, so
no.
I don't feel any type of way about giving the Fairlane business. So yeah, so that'll be fun. But yeah, do you want to guess what time I fell asleep Thursday night?
With the thunderstorms and the tornadoes and everything like that?
Well, Thursday wasn't too bad up north of Nashville. I feel like there was stuff to the south Thursday night, but I made sure that it was good when I woke back up after briefly falling asleep, and then I went back to bed 7:00.
Oh, why?
I don't know. I passed out watching Grey's Anatomy, and I woke up and I was like, this is not the same episode I remember. And so I just turned the TV off and went back to sleep on the couch until Sam got home around midnight, and then I went to bed. So.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
But basically, yeah, for the most part, went to bed at 7 Thursday night. So.
It was rough, because Thursday, that whole day was just, because of all the tornado stuff. Everyone in Nashville was up at 3 a.m. and then, either stayed up or just got an hour or two of sleep, and then went
we didn't have
to work. So
we had tornado watches in our county, not warnings, but Davidson and Nashville did, and my coworker texted me to make sure we were okay, because she didn't realize that it was that we were not having the warnings that they're having. And I had my phone off of sleep mode to make sure I would get notifications if something were to happen, and I was just really light sleeping the whole night because of all the storms, and so she woke me up at 2 a.m.
Aunt woke me up right before all the warning stuff went off on my phone, just to go downstairs. So I was up and half asleep and just didn't pay attention, and then all of a sudden Brayden's downstairs with handing me my phone and was we're under tornado stuff, and I was like, crap. So then we just we don't really have a good safe spot in our house, so we just kind of cuddle in the corner.
Yeah, we don't have a good spot either. We just go to the hall closet if we have to, and it's a tiny space, so
yeah.
But Yeah. So, ACM Awards, when did they come out
I don't
for
know.
nominations? I don't remember, but I feel like the problem with us recording multiple episodes at a time is that sometimes we like get behind on current events of like it's a little dated when we get the episodes out. But I feel like they're still relevant because the awards don't happen till I think May. So I just figured we could talk some ACM award stuff before we get into the topic of the day that Alex has for us. Um, did you look at them and have thoughts or anything? Or?
I just saw that Kelsey got nominated for Entertainer of the Year, and I was like happy for her. So
I'm like actually gonna pull up the May 8th is when they are, and they're on Prime. So, which I think is it's been that way for a while, where they're like not on a network station; they're just on a streaming service. But yeah, Kelsey's nominated for Entertainer. Entertainer is Chris Stapleton, Cody Johnson, Jelly Roll, Kelsey, Lainey Wilson, Luke Combs, and Morgan Wallen. So it's the 5 male vocalists of the year nominees, and then Kelsey and Lainey. But it's cool that there's 2 women for once, because I feel like it's always been either none or just one woman in the category for a while.
yeah,
My thing is like, I looked up the eligibility period, and it's basically 2024 calendar year for this award show. And I think that's just because of where it lands in the year. It works out where it's a calendar year, not like, I think, what did we say? The Grammys was like October through September or something. And the first round voting was in February, and final votes are due in a couple days here on April 7th, for voting for the winners. So Kelsey is interesting in that, like, I guess, yeah, she did Madison Square Garden in October, but she didn't do all that much in 2024 for, like, touring stuff. It's been mainly in 2025.
yeah.
So I'm just curious if, like, I don't know. I feel like if you're thinking of it as, like, the award is for 2024 stuff, I don't know what her chances are for winning. But I feel like people voting might be voting based off of thinking of the tour that she's currently
That's what
on.
I'm thinking. I
Even
was
if
like, it
it's
just
supposed to be
depends
for 2024.
when, like, yeah, what people are thinking of, because I don't know if we all necessarily think of the like eligibility time.
Right.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
know how, like, if they really do take much attention into thinking that. So
Yeah. I think it might be trickier for those categories versus like thinking of like single or album categories, because then you have the date that that project came out to look at to figure out eligibility. And then I guess once you're nominated, then it's like you don't think about that anymore as far as when you're trying to pick a winner out of the 5 or however many there are. But that's kind of what my thought was for Rascal Flatts is nominated for Group of the Year for the first time in 8 years.
Oh.
Their tour started this year, so I
Yeah.
was like, I feel like that could have been a thing next year, but it seems kind of weird that they're already nominated for this year's.
Yeah, it's probably just like a mindset thing. Again, it just depends when they even got into like first rounds of anything. And
Yeah.
like I don't know how, I haven't looked at them, but like I know I see a lot of emails like Lainey Wilson for your ACM nomination consideration
Yeah.
kind of things. So like I don't know what they're putting into those press releases too that also like impact it. But I mean, Kelsey over the last year, even from like when Penthouse got big, like she slowly built herself back up again in the
Yeah.
atmosphere. So I just feel like either way, yes, the tour might have been this year, but like I think Madison Square Garden and her Knoxville show and all of that stuff leading up to
True.
it was like all really big shows that like is kind of proving herself, and then she's just like icing on all the cake this year with the
Yeah.
tour.
Yeah. Also for Album of the Year, she did not get an Album of the Year nomination for Patterns, and I was
Oh.
like, that's what originally made me look at the eligibility period, because I thought that was interesting, but it would be in there as far as that goes. And I looked up
That's odd when you have an Entertainer of the Year and then you're not even
Yeah.
nominated for Album of the Year. Yeah. I mean, I know they don't necessarily
coincide.
yeah, but
Yeah,
you would
'cause-
think that the music is what's driving all of the success. So
right. Album of the year is Am I Okay? I'll Be Fine, Megan Maroney. So it's specifically the deluxe version that came out in October. And then Beautifully Broken, Jelly Roll, also in October. And Patterns was October. So it was like, okay, well, it's not qualified timeline-wise.
Right.
And then Cold Beer and Country Music, Zach Top. I honestly haven't listened to that album. I've just heard the ones that have been everywhere because he's everywhere.
Oh, I don't even know who that is, to be honest.
You don't know Zach Top? Oh. Okay. He's the one that there's been like the quote unquote conspiracy theory that's just like more of a meme of Zach Top is Alan Jackson's son or something.
Oh, no, I have not
Sounds
heard
like
of
the
this.
radio. Never lie. No. Okay. We're going to have to play some Zach Top for Alex at some point. F1 Trillion, Post Malone, Whirlwind, Lainey Wilson. I think both were August. I don't know when Zach Tops came out. But yeah, so that's album of the year. So Kelsey could have been based off of timeline.
It's weird to think that F1 Trillion and Patterns came out in the same year. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, I don't know either because I think both were on both of our like top albums list for 2024.
Feel like the same year. I don't know why.
But yeah, so I just found that interesting of like entertainer, but then she's not nominated for album. But I had an article that had like surprises and stubs, and it mentioned how Luke Combs' album Fathers and Sons is not nominated for album either. So
I didn't know he had an album come out, honestly.
I feel like it was a very not marketed thing ahead of time. It was maybe not necessarily a surprise album, but somewhat of a surprise album. It was nominated at CMAs, so it did get nominated for that award show, but I don't think I listened to the whole thing. Where am I at? Ella Langley is the leading nominated artist this year with 8 nominations, and it's her first year ever being nominated.
I was gonna say that's surprising.
So yeah,
like good for her, but that's just she's coming out of the gate swinging like.
Female artist, new female artist. I still hate. I just don't know why, but I don't like the idea of artists being qualified for both categories. I feel like you have to start with new. Of male, female, duo, group, whatever, before you can get into the other ones.
I always think it's weird, but...
But female artist, new female... I'm scrolling. Single of the year for You Look Like You Love Me. Song of the year, same. Music event of the year, same. Visual media. I don't know where the others are. I think there's probably some others for other things. I don't know. I lost count of how many that was. But anyways, everywhere because of that song. So it'll be interesting to see what she all wins. I feel like she'll probably get new female and music event at least.
Yeah.
Because I think that out of the ones for musical event, that's probably the biggest one because that's been everywhere. I would say Zach Top for new male. I don't really know new duo or group people that well. It's Restless Road, The Red Clay Strays, and Treaty Oak Revival. I've heard of Restless Road, but I don't know. Well, Red Clay Strays is also in Group of the Year. So, like, regular Group of the Year. So, I think that's also an indication sometimes is, like, if you make it in the main one, even though I don't like that that's allowed, like, that's maybe an indicator that they'll win. Because if they're good enough to go in the nominees with these people who are more established, then
just because I know who they are. Well, I know who Treaty Oak Revival is too, and Restless Road, but
yeah.
No offense to, never mind. I'm not gonna say that actually. I was gonna say Restless Road has gone through so many member changes that I just think they need to just. Too. It's okay, but no offense.
Also, Alyssa Vanderheim is the first female ever nominated for ACM Producer of the Year. She's the one who helped co-produce Patterns with Kelsey.
That's the other thing, yeah. So why isn't Patterns a thing?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yeah. What else did I have for notes? Muscadine Bloodline is nominated for Duo of the Year, which I feel like I I feel like I don't know their music, but then when I hear stuff, I'm like, oh, I do know this. And they did open for Eric Church in St. Louis when we went a couple years ago. I didn't know they're independent artists.
Oh, okay.
So we have independent artists that are nominated at the ACM,
cool.
so that's cool. That was something I learned from the article of surprises and snubs, because it was like a surprise thing. There's no Miranda or Carrie at all, which is interesting. Just because I think it's like
anything.
Miranda had an album out.
Oh yeah, she did.
But I don't think anything of it of like her not being nominated for that album, because we did talk about how it wasn't like her best compared to others. Like, we liked others better.
Yeah.
Carrie, her main thing last year was her Vegas residency,
Yeah.
so I kind of get that, but I just think that's kind of a shift in the industry of all these female artists that are coming up and kind of just like being the main female artist now for the genre, and they're still around and doing things, but they're not being nominated as much.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of an interesting thing to notice. There's no Beyonce, so
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think that just kind of connects with our thoughts of, was that no, 2 weeks ago with the current events catch up of talking about like why Post Malone's had success and she hasn't necessarily had the same success.
I mean, they also won't nominate Casey Musgraves either for anything.
She's nominated.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's in Female Artist of the Year. So females: Ella, Casey, Kelsey, Lainey, and Megan. And then it's The Architect for Song of the Year.
Oh, okay.
So she is nominated for a couple.
Well, good for once. I feel like Casey gets a snub a lot too. So
yeah, I feel like
Marin's getting a snub. Well, she hasn't really put out a lot, but
her new album will be out soonish.
Yes,
Dreamsicle
comes out in May. I'm so excited.
But I mean, she's like said that she's gone away from country.
Yeah, she's not promoting herself in the country market anymore. Yeah,
nominated. I don't think her team is trying to push her to be nominated or anything when they're doing the for your consideration.
I feel like she's really done with like any kind of award. Like, she'll take it if it comes, but I think she's just like really in a phase of just doing her thing and like letting it fall wherever it's gonna fall. So I don't know what her team is like pushing necessarily, besides just her as a brand image overall and her music overall. But like, I think even like she's probably going more of like an Americana like pop singer songwriter kind of a stance more than the country route. So
yeah,
but she also said that she wasn't anti-country music, and she's still writing country music, like what she would consider country music. So
yeah. The last thing that I had was, I feel like this was like my initial reaction to the awards, and I had texted you about it, of new female artists of the year. It's Ashley Cook, Dasha, Ella Langley, Cassie Ashton, and Jessie Murph. And I was like, who is Jessie Murph? Because I didn't know who that was.
I've seen her all over TikTok, and I know she had a song with like Jelly Roll and like other people and stuff, and Marin, and I just thought that was just like an experimental thing that she was doing. I legit thought she was still like considered a pop artist, like in that she was just like collaborating, because her style is very like folksy singer-songwriter pop. So I just thought that she was also just like branching out into country, but not like as a country artist. So it's surprising that she's considered a country artist. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to look her up, and like I looked up her discography and stuff. She is featured on High Road with Co Wetzel. So I think that's like her main song in country music that people would know her from. But other than that, that's like a feature. And she has an album where Jelly Roll is featured on a song, so there's that too, but that song's not as well known as the one where like she's the featured artist. And a lot of her other stuff is not country, so I'm just kind of like,
that one's surprising.
What?
Yeah. It is a little
like
odd.
I think there's plenty of other country artists that could have taken that spot, that's like doing more stuff on country radio and things, but yeah, it was just kind of like, who is this person? Like, no offense to her, I'm confused. Like, when you look at like, okay, Ashley Cook, she's been like a steady rise.
Oh, yeah.
Cassie Ashton, I think she's been around for a long time.
I'm surprised she's still getting nominated for a new artist. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think her songs have finally started to get some traction. And Dasha makes sense. Ella makes sense because both of them had like songs that were just like blew up on TikTok and stuff last year. So that's going to happen. But I was like, I don't know who this is. To be fair, I also don't know who Gavin Adoc. I don't even know how to say his name.
I know who he is too. Yeah.
In the new male artist category. So
he's gotten some traction, especially on TikTok. That's where I've seen him. So,
but I mean, he looks country in his pictures, so I didn't think too much of it comparatively. But Bailey Zimmerman, who's been around forever,
that's surprising. He's still
at
new.
This point.
He should be in the regular category. Yeah. Honestly, I mean,
Shabuzi and Zach Top both blew up this past year. Tucker Wetmore, same, I think, too. So those make sense as like newer people. But Bailey's been around for a while, so I don't really know how he's still being nominated for new.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I think Ella and Zach are going to be the new male, new female artists based off of just my thoughts, I guess. But yeah, I think that's all I had with that stuff. So it will be interesting to see what all happens with this award show. But yeah, I think Ella's going to take home a lot. And yeah, I think that's all I had overall to just like intro chit-chatty things. So what do you have in store for us today, Alex?
How long have we been talking? Oh, good. Okay. So I know we've talked about writers' rounds on here before, so hopefully this all isn't old. I know, same. All old information, and that you get some new kind of content out of it. But I just thought we'd talk about writers' rounds and our experiences with them. And I also thought about this, like, we should have probably done this episode with, like, Nashville tour stuff or something, because they've, like, gone through a lot of, like, big changes. Mm-hmm. So, Erin, if you ever want to collaborate, hit us up.
That would be fun.
I would love to. But, so writers' rounds is, like we said, a very Nashville kind of specific thing, because even when I was back home in Pennsylvania, like, I would kind of talk to people about, like, doing that kind of thing, and they're all like, they love the idea of it, but it's such a Nashville based thing as far as audiences. And even in Nashville, they have their like peaks and valleys of reach. Like, I think it depends on who's hosting and how long they've been established and what other events are going on. Like, I know the Commodore Grill always has a bit of luck because it's in a hotel, and it's also the dining room at the hotel, and people come just to eat a lot of times and enjoy the music as an ambiance thing half the time. But then also a lot of people come just to watch and hang out with other people, I feel like. So, and then Belcourt Taps also used to be a good one, just with foot traffic, that people used to come in a lot because it was just like a bar and you used to go in and grab a drink like while you're on that little strip, because there's like sportsy kind of bars, but not like bars. So like people would just kind of stop in, especially when there's a crowd and it's small, that like a couple people start to feel like a lot, and then it just attracts people's interests really fast. So, but Belcourt also doesn't exist anymore, so
rest in peace, Belcourt.
But I wanted to bring it up because I was talking to one of my coworkers this week, and he was like, you know, writers' rounds really used to mean something in this town, and then they became a dime a dozen, and now they're just like a thing that you kind of have to do, kind of like is a good way to get a foot in the door when you literally moved here and don't know what to do. But they're also not as like crucial anymore because people aren't getting the same kind of deals that they used to get, because they're such a dime a dozen anymore. So what?
My brain, sorry, this is not related, but you said deal, and my brain, it triggered. I just saw Tiger Lily Gold got signed with Sony.
I thought they already had a record deal.
Maybe it was ending or something. I don't know. But they just posted yesterday like a collaborative post of Sony and them, and said like, welcome to Sony. So
I thought they already had a deal. So
yeah, I think they had with like I know they had Smack Songs, but I want to say there was some sort of like a label deal too, not just publishing, but it might have been like a under the Sony umbrella, and now they're officially at Sony.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Sorry, I just thought of that. I was like, wait, congrats to them, because that's exciting for people we went to school with. So
yeah, but it's also, are they nominated for new group?
They won last year.
Okay. Good.
They aren't nominated for anything this year, but they did win last year. So, but I can see if they keep going the trajectory they're going. Like they just have to have another song or something blow up, and they could be in the other categories. So
for sure. But it's like commonly known, and a reason that a lot of people used to come to the Bluebird Cafe too was because people like Taylor Swift and Garth Brooks had gotten signed deals from there just by like playing in the round, because that was really the place that you go. And it still kind of is like a pretty well known and established place, but now because of the show Nashville, a lot of people go there. Well, when the show was especially going on and was popular, people used to visit just to visit, and it's still like one of those, like, if you want live music and like something different, you go to Nashville and you go to the Bluebird and you stand outside and you get a free entrance pass and all this stuff. So it still can be a place that is, you're especially at a place like that where you know that it's probably going to be a full house. There's probably going to be people that are there to champion the songwriters and just like find good new music. Depends who else you're playing with in the round, because if you're already playing with somebody who is a big deal, like it can be a good foot in the door to like open yourself up to other opportunities. So the Bluebird still holds some weight, I feel like, in this town, but again, there's just so many writers rounds that like it is a good place to like make connections. Like especially when you're new to town, you don't know what to do. Like head over to the Commodore, head over to find, like, Google writers rounds in Nashville, and then you'll find like a whole list of them, or like on Instagram, and just like go to them. They're all normally free. I don't think there's any writers rounds that's not really free,
other than like the listening room and Bluebird. See where Nashville Tour Stop is. They're at various venues. I think there's the main two for now, but they've changed over the years, so I don't want to like say go directly to this place all the time, because that might change over time.
And places like Bus Call and like the new artists at like the Basement East now have become a little bit more exclusive, because they're a full band writer round kind of things. Like, well, they're full band showcases, but like it's still original music. It's still like a songwriter centric thing, like very much a writers round-esque type thing, but like it gets you a little bit of practice with full band, and then you're kind of attracting more people just to see you, because in a writer's round, what some people don't like about it is that you have to listen to other people when you're there for like one person, and then like you kind of have to, which can be good and bad. Again, it depends how much the person there just really was there for you, but again, it's a good way to like start making a name for yourself. It's a good way to network and make some, if like you get put on a random writer's round the first day that you move into town, you don't know anyone, oh, well, here's 3 new people that you could potentially write a song with them the next day, because you get to network with those people on stage. They get to hear a little bit of how you sound. You get to hear a little bit how they sound. Then you guys, after the round's over, say, hey, I really like your stuff. Trade information, book a write, and then that can lead to other writers rounds and other showcases and stuff like that, depending on like if they like, if you guys have a good flow after the write. So it is a good way to network. And then again, like when you have an audience that's like kind of paying attention and they don't know who you are, then it could potentially lead to some fan conversion. But the writer rounds were birthed in the 1960s and 70s, where songwriters would gather in small groups, often in homes or private clubs, and exchange music ideas. These informal sessions created an environment free from commercial pressures to allow writers to collaborate, critique, and refine their work. This melting pot gave rise to songwriter-driven music, with artists such as Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, and Guy Clark gaining recognition, further reinforcing the importance of storytelling in music. Inspired by his shift in music, future Country Music Hall of Fame songwriters Don Schultz and Fred Knobloch formalized the idea of the Writers' Round, hosting gathering at Douglas Corner Cafe and other intimate venues in the 1970s. Douglas Corner is no longer a thing. It is now the 8th Room.
Yeah. That's sad. It was a good place.
Yeah.
It was a good place for like showcases too, because I think we saw Anna Voss there a couple different
Yeah,
times. Like
it had
it's
like
a
a
good
cute
sized
little
room.
stage and yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but songwriters, because they used to also be like you're in the round, but like it could have turned into a bit of a jam. It could have turned into
Mm-hmm.
like critiquing session, like you play your song and then other songwriters give their input on like how to refine it. It really is a way to like practice some stage, like it's a low pressure situation, so you can
Yeah.
mess up a little bit here and there. But
Yeah.
again, it like and it shows your professionality, like when you play a song really well, and like then but it used to be like a collaborative kind of effort where you could like bring in a song and then like kind of, or like a very like song that's not completely done yet, and then you could like collaborate a little bit with other people, and then like you could have a really refined
Mm-hmm.
song after the fact. And they still have some of those kinds of jams. I know like NSAI back home, like because they have different like chapters, they will
Yeah.
have like those kinds of jam nights where like you
Okay.
bring in songs and then like you can talk about them and stuff. um but I know that's like a lot less common
Mm-hmm.
nowadays to find.
I think too, going back to Douglas Corner, it was like cool how it's set up, and Bluebird still does this for their rounds of it's in the center of the room there.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
why
like the
it's
crowd
called
is all
in the
around.
round. So like you're
Yeah.
actually in a little
Because like
round table type
most rounds
situation.
now it's like you are on a stage, and so you're just like in a line, and the round is just that like once you get to the end of the line you start back at the beginning, but
Yeah.
you're not in an actual round anymore. And um I guess I haven't gotten to play the Bluebird yet, but I think that would be something of like the magic of playing there, of being surrounded by the audience instead of just like facing the audience.
Yeah.
Of it feels more intimate that way too.
Yeah. Um
But now Douglas Corner's gone, so I
yeah.
think Bluebird's the only one that I know of that has it set up that way.
And then in the early 1980s, they moved their gatherings to the legendary listening room, the Bluebird Cafe. Um, and then as the round grew in popularity, emerging songwriters were drawn to Music City alongside superstars who would often frequent these informal listening rooms. Viewers were treated to the thrill of potentially hearing a song before it topped the charts. Writers' rounds spread across the country and firmly became a defining feature of the Nashville music scene. And then some impact of them. As lyrically driven music enveloped the industry, the influence of the writers' rounds played a vital role in bridging the gap between independent songwriters and major industry professionals. Record labels, publishers, and A&R representatives started attending these rounds in search of fresh talent, making them an essential part of the discovery process. Many artists and songwriters landed publishing deals or gained major collaborations simply because they played a song that resonated with the right person in the right room. In addition, writers' rounds influenced the way the music business approached artistic development. Instead of relying on demo recordings or industry showcases, rounds provided a live audition like environment where industry professionals can see not just how well a songwriter crafts their music, but how it connects with listeners. This led to a great appreciation for artists who can thrive in a stripped down setting, emphasizing talent over heavy production. So it also just, along with the practicing and refining and all that stuff, it also allows like sorry, I like lost my train of thought here.
It's good
Yeah, the
memory of
live
everything.
audition like setting where like people can like actively see, and like how the fan and transaction kind of works is like you're actively like getting to directly to your audience, like they're right there, and in
Mm-hmm.
live time you're like gaining that fan. So
Yeah.
that was all I
Oh, okay.
had. There wasn't a lot, but I had a couple articles that was like the like importance of a writers round, and how they've grown so
Mm-hmm.
much, but then like out of towners come and really like enjoy the like simplified version of like live music because
Right.
there's so
And they
much
like
live
hearing
music,
original music because
and yeah,
I'll
they
hear that.
genuinely want to hear something
Yeah.
different than the
I'll
top
hear that
20.
downtown of like all we hear is like cover songs, and they'll request originals and ask where they can hear more original music. I'm like, find writers rounds, and I'll like suggest like Nashville tour stop and stuff for people to go check out, and with the caveat that they will have to venture outside of downtown usually for most of them. Um, But yeah, I think rounds are still good for the connection building of finding people to write with, and that can lead to other things as well. And yeah, it's not necessarily the same as it used to be of like A&R people coming out to rounds to find people to sign. But I will say we played at Tin Roof before the storms hit Wednesday night, and we had like an ASCAP rep guy come up to us. So
Yeah.
there is still industry people because it's Tin Roof de Montbriand, so it's like right on the end of Music Row. So there are still industry people who go out to bars and happen upon music.
There is,
But
but I do find that there are a lot of times there for somebody that they already know within like the lineup. Like I know in the listening room, especially, like if you have somebody on your round that already is like with a publishing deal or something like
yeah,
that, they're there for them. And then that's how you kind of, so it becomes a lot more of like the networking of like who you know and what round you're going to get put on in order to get that exposure in the
yeah,
first place. And building that can be a little bit of the like the
yeah,
frustrating part, I think, because it's like you can play round after round after round. And I mean, yeah, I don't, it really does. I mean, I have known people that have played to what they thought was an empty room, but the one person in there was somebody who was looking for Cody Johnson's next single and
yeah,
then put it on hold.
yeah,
So it really is a matter of like, you never know who is in a room. Yes, absolutely. But then also don't get your hopes up completely that like, that one time you played that one writers round is going to be like the end all be all, because writers rounds like have gone through a lot in the last couple years, and especially when COVID hit, then it kind of had a little bit of a resurgence. And then you got people like Lindsay L's band who started the
pitch meeting.
pitch meeting, where it's basically an open mic kind of style with original music only, and you get the chance to play with a band, and you basically like you have 5 minutes to like coordinate it with the band, and you like give them like your chord progression, and then they take it, and they're incredible musicians, so they just like play it right away, and then you get to sing your original song, and then they're a pretty connected group of people, so like then it can kind of lead to something too. Like
Yeah,
I know they had a pitch meeting open for Hunter Hayes when he was in
yeah,
town, so, and they invited a couple people that they've had regulars as on their pitch meeting things, and that's one I still want to go to. I just haven't done it, but I want to so badly, and I need to.
yeah, yeah. So it's not like as common for industry people to like come and hear a song and then automatically want to sign you. And I think that's also just because of they look at social numbers so much nowadays too, that they're not going to just sign you based off of one song. They're going to want to look you up online and see what you're doing, and if the numbers are there, if the growth is there. But I know that artist showcases are still a thing, but those are where you would be like inviting industry people to the showcase. It wouldn't be that they happened upon it. Because I know that's been done before, of like Adams had some throughout the years of like putting on a showcase and inviting people from different labels just to see if they might take interest and things like that. So that's still a thing, but the likelihood of just having someone happen upon you is kind of gone down.
Yeah.
So
But again, you never know. I mean, I never would have expected that my community theater production would have had the like star of Bring It on Broadway original cast be in the front row, and she was, and like that was like crazy. So, sometimes you never know. And that's how I always picture it. I'm always just like, you never know kind of a thing. But
yeah,
it's a different environment, but there's a little bit more context, I think, to the writers rounds, and kind of how they like started around here and why they have such significance in the world of Nashville specifically. And if you're in Nashville for your next writers round, I mean in town just on general, you want to hear some original music, check out a writers round. We always love your support.
It's also good to just like, it's a place where you can test out new material too. Yeah. So that's another good thing about them, is like playing songs for the first time ever, just to kind of get an audience's opinion on it, of like maybe it's like, I like this, but is it something I want to like take the time to invest the time and money to put it out.
Right.
So it's good to test stuff that way too.
It just also gets a little like sometimes people can get stuck in the writers round circuits in town, I think, and it makes you look really busy, and that's cool, but then you're also not really doing anything to further it after that, because writers rounds kind of just lead to other writers rounds a lot of times. It doesn't always necessarily lead to like tours or anything like that. So
yeah, it's good to have a mix of things on your schedule and not just do one thing all the time.
Yeah. And that's, I think, where a lot of people, like, I know it's hard to not compare yourself in this town, but I think a lot of people get caught up in the fact that, oh, well, they did 10 writers rounds last week and I did nothing. And it's just like, again, you just have to put it into perspective that, like, yes, it may look like they're doing a whole lot, but it might not always be like a lot in the long term.
It might not be getting them anywhere.
Yeah. And not to say that, you know, like you shouldn't take every opportunity, because you should take most opportunities. But like if you're feeling like you're getting in a rut and you're not getting anywhere, maybe it's time to like reconsider why you're going to these writers rounds instead of like moving your career into like a showcase style format or full band situations or like trying to open for people and that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
always just keep moving forward with it. And it's like if you're just like playing the same song, but I mean also like it's also good, especially when you're in BMI and ASCAP land, and then you can say that you performed your song and get some royalties off of it.
It adds up. If you please log your songs, it adds up. So yeah,
I think that's everything for this week. I tried to pull up like artists who got their start in a writer's round kind of a thing, but it's hard to find an article like
I think like Maren Morris, when she played Bridgestone, she mentioned Belcourt.
Yeah.
So she's like from Belcourt to Bridgestone. So she's an example of one of many people who started with writers rounds, but that's the first one that pops off in my head of like going from that. Priscilla Block used to play at Belcourt too, and she got to play Nissan Stadium a couple CMA Fests ago. So the little like new artist stage or whatever in between acts. So she can say she played Nissan.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's a lot of them is how people get started. So yeah. Well, if you have anything that you want to share with us, maybe you have insights on or like your opinions on writers rounds and
what's your favorite writers round you've been to, put it in the comments below.
Yes, comment below. If you have thoughts on the ACMs, we can hear those as well. You can send anything either in the comments, on our socials, or on this video, or you can email us at themusiclenspodcast@gmail.com. All our socials are at The Music Lens Podcast. You can find Alex at Alex Allegra Music on socials. Keep an eye out. She's doing some new music stuff. And you can find me at KDP Music on all the socials.
And we'll see you next
time.
Bye.